Are we live? There we go. We're live.
Yes. Hi, everyone. We're live. Hello. Welcome to Double Defense,
Hey.
Season 2, Episode 11. We are counting down the days. I think we're at, 32 days till the season
Regular
starts?
season?
Something like that, yes.
Hey, I'm going to the game at the end of this month, so there's hockey.
There's hockey this month.
So.
I'm very excited because it's been such a boring, slow, hot summer. I mean, maybe not boring, but we've kept ourselves amused. But I think we're all ready to get back into this.
Yes. And we have so much more things going on to give us homework. My child, who's guest hosting with us tonight, continues to give me homework.
We have to do our studying in the off season.
Mom, watch this while you're working. Listen to this during meetings. Watch this. Do you like this? Follow this.
I'm excited because I got hockey this week. Woo!
Nice.
I got that planned. I planned that all day.
What's
happening this week, Matt?
So this weekend,
it's Goalie life behind him.
This weekend, this teams in the Southwest, Vegas, Colorado, LA, San Jose, Anaheim, and the one in Arizona are all converging in Vegas for a rookie tournament. And I'm excited, and I can't go for some reason because they're keeping out all the fans to watch their teams. So as protest, I'm going to try to sneak in.
Well, elaborate more on that. I think they offer tickets up to season ticket holders that snatch them up like that. So are they reselling for like crazy amounts, or are you just not even seeing those?
I can't even find resales. I don't even think they're offering resale to anyone. Oh,
there you
go. We're losing you. We're losing you, Mom.
Yeah, you're not even seeing it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
but yeah, like they're hosting the nights at the minor league arena, but because there's so many teams, the Kings don't play them. They're all at the practice facility. But due to demand, they've limited tickets to those games to Vegas Golden Knights season ticket holders, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. What Vegas fan wants to go to a Kings Ducks game at 1 p.m. on a Monday? I have no clue.
I don't know. There's a lot of people here that don't look like they work at my pool. So I don't know.
But I'm looking at the tickets for the game at the minor league arena, and they're only half sold in the cups there too. So
that's interesting.
So I don't think there's a lot of demand. I don't think there's a lot of demand. But I'm going to try to sneak in. I'm applying for a media pass if I can find an email or an outlet.
You just tell them that you're part of Double Defense, and I think the doors will be wide open for you, Matt.
Oh yeah, the world famous hockey podcast. Listen to dozens of people.
Listen to dozens of locations all over the world.
Tens of people.
Well, Matt, thanks for jumping on with us. I'm excited to hear. I think we're going to talk about a couple of fun facts. I know we wanted to talk a little bit about the new women's league that is launching because we're excited about that. New York is going to have a team, and then also a little compare and contrast with the championship league in Europe and some of the differences and rule changes, which I completely agree with. And Christine and I talked about this a little bit over the weekend, but I'm ready to kick it off with some fun facts. I need a fun fact to end my week.
Well, here's a fun fact. California, the top of California is slightly more north than the south of Canada. I just learned that. There's an island. There's an island in the Great Lakes that is. There's an island in the Great Lakes.
I felt so smart until like right now, and I'm like, what?
I thought this was going to be about hockey.
Canada.
Well, hey.
The two most popular places for hockey, right? Canada and California. Yeah.
Exactly. So where is it? So California has a lake that.
No, there is an island in the Great Lakes under Canada's jurisdiction, apparently, that is more south than the North California border.
Interesting.
Which means that there is part of California that is more north than Canada.
Also means the Canadians are invading. We better watch out. There's a reason Sarah's busy plotting. She's busy plotting, and we will hear about her plan for world domination when she joins us next time.
So
you had one, right, Mom?
Liz put up a meme earlier this week, which everyone loved, which was like, I'm missing hockey so much. I went to the zoo and yelled at the penguins. So
I saw one where it's like, I miss hockey so much. I bought a swords collection to watch the Sabres do nothing. I love that one. That one was good.
We could have a whole episode on hockey jokes.
Totally. Well, what's your fun fact, Christine?
Well, we'll get into it as we talk about the Women's Hockey League. So when we start talking about that, I'm going to throw out something pretty fun. My worlds have crossed.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and so I definitely want to give a couple shout outs, from what I'm learning. So we can start with that, when we do that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a whole lot of Ranger stuff to talk about. I mean,
we do have the CHL, which we do that's why we want Matt on. Matt's been really getting into that, and that's the homework he's been giving to me. So and then I sent the homework over to Liz, so she was looking at it.
I was doing my research today too.
We do have news in the last couple weeks with the Professional Women's Hockey League, which now has secured 3 locations in the U.S. and 3 locations in Canada, and those locations in the U.S. being New York, which can potentially be Connecticut or New Jersey, too, and Boston and Minneapolis. So really odd locations, but okay. And then in Canada, those 3. So we have, and then what I did notice, and so this is what I'll jump into, is today, it looks like today, so they had free agency going on. So they started signing up their players, and then today we had 3 women securing their deals with the New York team, and it's Alex Carpenter. We have Mika Zandy Hart and Abby Roque. And so here's where my fun fact comes in. As I'm learning and I'm reading, Abby Roque is actually from a small city in Michigan, Sault Ste. Marie, which is where I just was a week ago for a whole week at a paranormal convention. And so I was texting my girlfriend there. I told her I was going to give her a shout out. She's like, no, but she's a teacher there, and Abby was one of her students. And so it's a very small city in the northern part of Michigan. And that's where Abby comes from. And she's also the first Indigenous woman to play professional hockey. And so she's 25 years old and is, has made that city proud. And the fact that I know it really well from being, with my other, hobby of paranormal. And it's just, we gather there every year for a week. I was there literally a week ago enjoying the locks and the casino and all my friends up there. So I want to wish these women congratulations today. They are now part of our upcoming New York team. We are going to be looking at this league starting in January. Locations and team names, like all those things are still yet to be determined. And in fact, a friend of mine, Angelia's just sent me over a thing where they're looking at a rink in Connecticut. And so I'm like, I have a feeling they'll kind of move around too, maybe for the first year. So we're looking at a shortened season for them, but really excited to kind of see what it's going to bring in the upcoming year. And of course, how we're going to watch it. So that's my fun fact, and that's what I've got today. So again, congratulations, ladies. We've got it on our story. They actually saw the story. So we're going to kind of, I'm going to do a little bit more homework, and I love to try to reach out and get these women on our show so we can maybe talk with them more and learn more about them and what they're excited to see coming up to.
That is awesome. That is so cool that you know the city so well. You'll have to talk more about that as we. Yeah, that's awesome. And did I hear we have a female Mika on the New York team? That makes me very happy. Is it Mika? Micah? We'll find out all the details on how she pronounces it. That is incredibly exciting.
Yeah,
I can't wait. I can't wait to find out what the team name is going to be. I hope it
and where they're going to
lives up to. Yeah.
So definitely will be. I'm definitely going to be planning a trip to ensure that I can see at least one of those games in the new year. So definitely looking forward to that.
You actually got to watch Alex Carpenter play at the rivalry series.
Yeah. So Matthew's the one turning me on to the women's hockey, league, and took me to the game last year that we kind of talked about. And if you haven't seen or watched these women play, definitely it's worth your money and your time to do it. They're outstanding.
It's funny because
they're better than the Ducks. I'm gonna tell you that.
I bought tickets without her knowing what it was. I bought tickets and I was like, let's go to this thing. We gotta go. Come, let's go.
Mom. Okay. And it was amazing. Yeah. Awesome. So, we've watched them in the Olympics. You're watching them and they were doing a tour. So it's nice now that they're solidifying these teams to do a full abbreviated season in established rinks.
And I know we've talked a lot on this podcast about where we're going to watch the games. It'll be very interesting to see how the rights and the broadcasters play out on this.
I do have to say, since the bad news of the folding of the PHF, a lot of good has come out of this. I've heard rumors that the Minnesota team is playing at XL Energy. And I was stunned. I'm pumped. I'm excited now. It does make sense that NYC is having a hard time trying to find a place because besides you can't play at Madison Square Garden because that's
the professional teams can barely schedule time to play at Madison Square Garden. So
besides that, where on the island or in New Jersey can you go? The Izod Center is out of commission. Barclays kind of sucks for hockey.
Any of the universities have a good location that they might be able to jump on board with, like good room for fans? And
I don't know, but what did
Union only plays at a community rink, and that's I think the only New York area NCAA team, which is weird because they deserve more.
So the article
says a historic hockey program. Anyway, what's up?
The article I got from Twitter sounds more and more like the New York could actually play out of Bridgeport. So that right now is the rumored.
Yes, everybody's favorite city, Bridgeport.
I loved
just an hour and a half drive of the city.
If you have not been to Bridgeport, you are not missing anything. You know what? It's interesting. Bridgeport is the home to a handful of minor league baseball teams, and they actually do a really nice job. I think. Actually, now that you say that, I think there was a minor league. I don't know if it's currently still there, but there was a minor league hockey team in Bridgeport. So they probably have an arena that is quite nice and ready to go. So maybe that's the thinking behind it. That would be very cool.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that too.
The Bridgeport Islanders play there. I'm not sure who they're affiliated with, but yeah, the Bridgeport Islanders are there.
Wouldn't it be the Islanders? That would be a.
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah.
It would be a funny name.
And the Wolfpack aren't too far from there either. So that right now, that's a rumored, location. We don't have that long to wait. January is not too far away, and then they'll have to establish the schedule. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. I started following the ladies on our Instagram so we can kind of keep better tabs and see what they're doing, and and even kind of following their pages. They're super cute. They're super excited and very generous and grateful, to be in the positions that they are. So
and just to clarify in this, Bettman has nothing to do with it, right? There's no affiliation with the NHL, or there is like sort of a loose affiliation.
A teeny bit. They're calling it an advisor role, which I think is at the moment the perfect spot for them. But also at the same time, we don't really want to learn from the NHL because the NHL has issues with marketing right now. So
yeah. Interesting. This will be interesting to see how this all plays out. But either way, it's super exciting. And we'll talk more a little bit about some rule changes in between leagues. It'll be interesting to see what rules they keep, what rules are different, and
what rules they should adopt from the CHL.
Yes,
if they could.
I think it's a pretty big question on whether or not they allow checking. I think that is an interesting conversation to have, especially in the women's game. The main arguments essentially are you have a facet of professional and competitive hockey without checking, and that's a fun experiment and experience. But also, what's different about women that they don't deserve checking? It's more of an equality thing. So I'm curious to see that.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
I scrimmaged some girls teams when I was younger, and they're way more physical than we give them credit for.
Oh, the girls would own them, because the boys were too scared to check them. So that was always the funny part too. Is the boys were at an age where they were learning to check each other. So when they're 13, 14, they can start to check. But then they start throwing in these exhibition games against the girls team. And I don't know what the locker room was, but they're like, I don't want to check the girl. I don't want to check the girl. And then these girls will just come by and barrel through them. And they won. The girls always won the games. So
but they didn't always win, but it was a certain
point.
You
guys, they did.
No. It was a certain point as we got older where they started creeping up and then eventually overpassing us. Yeah, it was just like we were learning to check, but because
they never did that. They were more on skill base. So where the guys were always like wanting to kind of do the physicality part of it and kind of own each other. They the girls just came by and would skate around them and do that, and then they it was those are great games to watch. I remember that.
Yeah, because the girls would never learn how to check. They would learn. They still know like how to essentially plant their body. They were stronger than they were stronger than us. They were stronger than us. Like if we tried going around them, we flipped over.
This is recorded too.
But yeah, the girls are way more talented than we give them credit for, and I'm so excited that we got a professional league, a sustainable professional league, finally. In the game through some growing pains. Rest in peace, PHF.
I think 2 years of exhibition games, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's fantastic. So we'll throw them in the bucket with how we're going to watch. As the season begins. Right now, I don't even get ABC channels because my cable can't come to terms with things. So I'm like, they better work that out before the end of the month. So we'll see what the challenge is and how we're going to watch. Right now, I've seen a lot of questions going around too on people asking how to watch, and a lot of people are just coming back with is it Fubo? So that right now seems to be go-to because people are kind of, I don't know if other people are having issues too with their cable services and trying to keep it at a reasonable price. So
I think that's it's a big issue, and I think a lot of people also. It's hard. I think it's actually harder for people to watch in-market games than out-of-market games. We're actually sort of lucky being here on the West Coast, being most of the time, it's out of market. And very few games we have to worry about as long as we're subscribed to a service that provides it. So I get most of my games through ESPN Plus. On the off chance that it's an in-market game, that's when things get a little bit hairy, or there's like a handful of games for whatever reason that I would have to switch over to Fubo. And I would just sign up for the free trial and then just kind of bounce around email addresses until they got a little wise to that. But for the most part,
we're trying to find a mainstream way to watch it. And we have resources now with some of the bars and local venues too that get the packages too. So this will be a better year to kind of corral some people. We're trying to find locations around to gather more people and more opportunities to do that with the game. So we're definitely looking at that. So that'll be good. Before we go over to CHL, so I wanted to talk about. So did you hear Tyler Mott was the news topic of the week here. We lost Tyler Mott because thought very highly of himself and thought he could go out into the free market and get himself $2 million. And so apparently he overestimated himself by a lot. So now I'm seeing the rumor, going around that we might have him back by the end of the year. So
I thought I saw that he's signed officially with Tampa Bay, but that also might be, one of those internet
1-year deal for $800.
That's not $1 million. That's not $1 million, Tyler.
He was going for 2. He was going for 2. So and was it Sam Rosen or Vince? They were just like another. He's not the first player to send himself out thinking he was worth more, and he can be a nice tradable commodity at some of these trade deadlines. So let's see if he comes around full circle.
It's happened before. It'll happen again. Absolutely. And then I think your other question is, what's going on with Kane? Has anybody heard from him? Is he having surgery? Is he not having surgery? What is his deal?
Well, Matt not right now.
I think there's some rumors. I think there are some rumors that he might sign with he might sign with a Canadian team, I've heard. I'm double checking those rumors right now.
Because right now the last rumor we saw is that he may be just signing with the Rangers by November, which month into the season. Sure.
If you Google Patrick Kane, there's rumors that he's signing with every team. Patrick Kane to the Devils, Patrick Kane to the Maple Leafs, Patrick Kane to the Detroit Red Wings.
How marketable is he now? Is he?
I think the only thing that's believable is that he's going to sign after the season starts. I think that makes sense, especially with what's going on with him physically, what's going on with him behind closed doors and contract negotiations. I think that's the only thing we can trust. I'm seeing
we're waiting and enjoying and seeing what happens.
Sens,
is
Ducks,
he
Blues.
Gonna play? What's he gonna do? So no one's really unlike Lafreniere, where it was starting to build up and people were concerned. Kane's just kind of like laying low. Like no one's really chatting about it anymore. It's just there. We kind of know we're going to see it. Someone pops up with a comment here and there. So
I think with Kane's performance and his injuries, I think it's sort of a low stakes guy at this point. Like I don't think anybody is going to be up in arms wherever he winds up.
I think what I was seeing too was like depending on where he thinks he may be in his career. I mean, it's coming to the end. New York seems to be a place where people like to kind of retire with people that and we're seeing, comparisons to other players going there. So that I think is what's leaning, some of the rumors toward New York. So we're, again, we'll keep an eye on that. And, we only picked up part of his contract last year too. So that's the other thing is if we do sign him, where's the money coming from? So we'll just keep an eye on it. Look, they're back on the ice this week, which is also good to see. I like to see those happy faces. The Rangers do a really good job of reporting those fun things that we get to share. And I think everyone's back in the country and safe. So hopefully that's the case. And then we'll just go because then we'll have to follow like a soap opera, the growth back of Panarin's hair and how he's doing.
Yeah.
Is he coming back as an enforcer with all the things he's learned over the summer or what? Everybody's married now. We got a couple, weddings.
Babies.
So babies. Yeah. Oh yeah, we have baby. Oh yeah, we have baby.
There are so many hockey weddings. So many hockey weddings happen over the summer.
Yes. Yeah. And we have a new baby.
I think I've ever seen.
Last time. Yeah. So that was the key too. So will these new weddings keep them grounded? That was a big thing with Shesterkin last year is his performance, although it was fine at the end of the year, everyone was complaining about it, that he might've been too tired as a brand new dad. Are we going to see that with Mika? Because he's snuggling that cute little baby girl of his and looking super cute. So, and is uncle, Chris going to come and babysit and take over? Are they both going to be sleepy? Yeah. Who knows? But Liz will write a story about it.
We need him on point. We need him on point for this year.
So we're going to wait to see how that fan fiction develops too with the new additions. So we're looking forward to that. We're going there I definitely plan on going to, so I'll be in New York at the end of the month. I'm definitely planning on hitting up the last preseason game, which is Rangers Islanders game. And I'm allowing my girlfriend to wear an Islanders. She's like, she's going to wear her Islanders shirt. And I said, it's the only game you're allowed to do that. Because otherwise I drag her with me.
It's preseason. It's low stakes. That's fine.
It's fine. So it's at MSG. One other topic real quick, and then we'll move over to CHL was, rumors are circulating again in the last week or two with the contract for Madison Square Garden in general. There's a 5 years left remaining on their contract. And I did put a poll out, to see if people think, it's the rumors circulated before. They're kind of jumping up again a little bit. It's like, what's going to happen with this contract? Are they going to be forced to move in 5 years?
As long as they don't go to Bridgeport.
Like, yeah. And I'm like, no.
The Bridgeport Rangers has a good ring to
it. Hey, that might be a good idea to kind of think about. Maybe we should invest in some property if we are thinking about moving. That might be some good investment, advice there. So,
is this the way the Whalers come back?
If there is if there is a team that is still supporting, if there is a state that is still supporting a team that has left a long time ago, it is Connecticut. Everywhere you go there is Whalers stuff all over the place. You would think that the team is still, very active.
Hey, and Sarah sent over wherever she was. There was a whole selection of Quebec Nordiques hats, that she found. So they have their own version up there too. So
let's be real. 80% of the Whalers support is just for that amazing logo. That's it.
The logo, best logo in the NHL. Best logo, hands down, greatest of all time.
What? Besides the logo and Gordie Howe, what else do the Whalers have?
No, that's it.
No.
That's it. Two things.
They have a few fans. Jay will chime in if he hears this. He's a big fan. So very cool. So that's, look, we're coming back. We'll probably meet up and have another couple podcasts before I head out there to New York, which will be for my reunion. So I'm going to get a couple of my classmates and we're going to head over to the game before we all act like we're still in high school after all these years. So definitely looking forward to that. And, and again, seeing who we're going to see on the ice, for those games and get this, season off. So it's getting closer. It's now just down to a couple of weeks and no predictions. I know Jeffrey and those guys keep making predictions on stuff. I think as we did that last year, we could do it on our next podcast, but
Kings rookies go 3-0 this weekend. That's my prediction.
That's as far as we're going to predict that.
I know.
When we get a little bit closer, maybe we'll start a couple more things. But in the meantime, I've been looking forward to this. Matt has been sharing some information about the CHL, which is the European League. I find it fascinating, mostly because it's a league very similar, and Matt, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's very similar to the way soccer, football works in Europe, where there are club teams of all different leagues who can all play and get into this championship league and play each other for the European trophy, which essentially means that you could have a scenario where the Bridgeport Islanders are facing the New York Rangers for the Stanley Cup, and it can be a local team versus a major market team. And I think that's so cool. I've always really liked that about soccer and football in Europe. And I think it's super cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would, not to get into politics, but I would argue at this current level, the CHL is at its peak the best hockey league in the world outside of the NHL and AHL. It is so good, and you get to see teams from different countries duke it out for a European Cup, and it's very similar to the Champions League in that regard. Yeah, I'm counting. There are teams from 12 different nations. And I always thought that was interesting. You got Italy, you got Czechia, you got Germany and the UK, as well as the major hockey countries like Sweden and Finland. But yeah, I've really been getting into it, especially because there's no hockey on right now. We're weeks away from the preseason, and it's just to see the great teams from Europe play in the mornings over here, 7 a.m. to noon.
And
I
those
love
are
watching it.
You're watching those via YouTube, right? So those are easy to find and watch on YouTube.
I'm not sure what the thing is for Canada. Canada might have their own broadcasting thing, but over in the States, YouTube has been great for Champions Hockey League. They've made it very easy to watch, and I think that's one of the major appeals. You have arguably the third or fourth highest league in the world, and they've just made their games free on YouTube over here, over across the pond.
That's awesome to know. And are you looking for players who might eventually make their way into the NHL?
I'm looking for both players that are trying to get to the NHL and players that have came from the NHL. I just watched a game with Max Legacy as the goalie, and for those of you who don't remember, Max Legacy was the ECHL goalie from the Knights' first regular season, or not from their first regular season. That came in after their backup goalie got injured, and Marc-Andre Fleury got injured, and their AHL goalie got injured. So I'm recognizing a lot of these. I'm recognizing a lot of these players, as well as
wasn't Subban one of their goalies back then?
Yeah,
too?
Yeah, back then.
The Subban
I
brothers.
don't remember watching him.
They're one of them. Yeah. So that's a great hockey name, though.
So Matt, walk us through the differences. I know there's a couple of rule differences in the CHL.
Well, I think we all know that the rink is a little wider, right? There's a difference between the NHL rink and the European size rink. You can tell because of the distance between the hash marks to the boards. There's usually a little bit of a wider space. But they instituted some exciting rule changes. I'm sure you guys discussed this internally. But there are 3 new rule changes to penalties that I would like to go through and talk about one by one, because I think they're really exciting. I have negative opinions, positive opinions, a little bit of both. But yeah.
As do we.
So why don't we just get started with that? The first rule change, all penalties are like major penalties, where if you score on the power play, the guy stays in the box until the time is up.
Yes.
There.
Agreed. That is one I would like to see. I would like to see that. Otherwise, what's the point of the penalty? You like it to me, it just erases something that was either earned or the punishment for the other team. I've never understood the whole concept of this, of why it would just be over.
Well, because of the Canadians. there is a backstory to this rule, and there is a backstory to why it exists, and that's because the Canadians were exploiting it. They were so good. They were so good that if a team got a penalty or two, the game would be over.
Well, that's the fault of the team then. Sorry, Canada, but that's it is what it is.
I personally don't like this rule, but I do think the game would be better if it was added alongside these other rules. I think not just this one rule. It has to be balanced out in some capacity. What do you think, Mom? We've heard from Liz.
I know I agree with that one.
Yeah.
Just like when you go in and you feel shame and then you get free. So
as a team that's
2 minutes. Use your 2 minutes.
Team that's played Edmonton, no. Just no.
No.
What other sport though? Okay, what other sport operates that way? I mean, you look at soccer or football or rugby, everything is like yellow card, red card. And once you get it, it's not over until it's over. It's over when the penalty is over, no matter how much the other team scores. Hockey's very unique in this way.
I'm trying to think of an example with soccer. If you commit a foul in soccer, you can just let them have the ball. You don't even need to do a free kick or whatever. You can just let them have the ball and we play on. I'm not sure how that's comparable. I was going somewhere with that, but then I just lost my train of thought.
I mean, hockey does have that to some degree, if you go off sides, possession changes, and I totally get that. So there's like little mini penalties along the way where it's just about possession. But if you commit an infraction that endangers another person in any other sport, you're off for, the whole time or a period of time. It would be interesting to see hockey, like if the CHL did do a yellow card, red card. Why not? I mean, you kind of could.
Honestly, at this point, the playoff in the CHL, 16 teams make the playoffs, but the first round isn't a series; it's aggregate. Mom, do you know what an aggregate is?
Yes, I do.
I don't like that. Huh?
Explain it anyway.
Oh yeah. So for audio listeners, aggregate is instead of playing a three-game series or a 5-game series where you flip home and away, and the team that wins the series is the team that wins the series or wins most games wins the series. With aggregate, all you play is 2 games, and if you win one game, it doesn't matter. You have to make sure you don't lose by that amount of goals. To explain it simply, it's goal differential. If one team scores 2 goals,
I could have started with that one.
I could have. I love over explaining things.
I like the way he checks with me. Do you know what that means, Mom?
Yeah, do you?
Maybe I'm
trying to bounce. Like I feel like I'm a good teacher. It's just that when I don't like teaching, I like teaching. I like teaching stuff that people who don't know stuff. So which is why I'm bouncing off the energy. I'm a theater.
I'm bouncing off the fact that you guys don't know anything.
Yes.
No, go on.
But like it's very similar because the way that they determine the schedule are pots. What other hockey league has pots? Anyway, the second penalty rule is if you score on a delayed penalty, the penalty still applies.
Yes. Also, this is one I also completely agree with. What are your feelings, Matt?
I'm 50-50. My college team plays with this rule. It is amazing when your team scores on the delayed penalty and you still get the penalty. It feels awful when that happens to you.
So yeah, I mean, look, we have it when you get a major penalty, and that's longer, So it wouldn't even really make a difference for 2 minutes. It would. I think they would play. So they would play a lot better, knowing that too. But I think it's why wouldn't we would do that? Why are you rewarding people for doing that? And
exactly,
it's really what you're doing.
Penalties are meant. What is the point of the penalty? The penalty is meant to keep, at least the way I see it, you're trying to keep people safe. You don't want players doing anything where they can endanger themselves or other people. That should be penalized and that should be punished, instead of it being something where you can kind of get away with it. And if the other team scores, you're not really super punished because they were going to score that 5-on-5 anyway. So you haven't even properly punished them. Yeah, punished the other team yet.
So even when you have other situations, when we go, we'll just go a little further into that too. When I've seen players go and they're in a penalty box at the end of the game, and so now these guys were sitting in a penalty. The game ends, and these guys can do the 3-on-3. They can do the shootouts when there's no ramifications for that either, and that's frustrating. I don't like seeing that because they could just be a tool. I've seen it, and they shouldn't be allowed to do that at the end of the game, especially if you're going to create that kind of thing at the end of the game and get a penalty. I've seen major penalties go to people, and they're still they're one scoring on a 3-on-3 in overtime, or during a shootout. So.
I just wish that this was forced consistently. Like I was watching a game earlier today where penalty shot scenario, he's on a breakaway, he gets penalized, he gets awarded a penalty shot, but then he misses the penalty shot. Logic of this rule should apply that he still gets the penalty, at least in terms of equivalency, but in this league he doesn't, despite that rule. I just think it should be more enforced consistently in that way,
Well, that I think has to go along with all of these rules.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
yes, I
crazy talking right now.
Like,
what? We can't even establish a consistent thing for kicking a puck in.
That's the thing. I think these rules only make sense if there is consistent calling and consistent refereeing, and there just has not been.
Let's talk about that too.
I love how we talk about that as if it's a rule change. You know,
I know.
They just have a consensus is that the refereeing should be accurate. Crazy.
Yeah. So we'll remind me to bring this up at the end because the European referees are doing something different.
It's hard for Bettman to control the outcome with that. So.
So we're totally in agreement with that one. So what's that third? What's that third one?
All right. The third one is my favorite. If I had to pick one of these three to implement, and only one of these three, I would pick this one. If you score a shorthanded goal, the penalty is wiped. I love it. It adds so much chaos.
No, that's chaotic evil.
Wait, don't knock that so fast. You know, Kreider's really good at them. So that means he would score, and then we would be back to full strength. I'm not.
But why should you get rewarded when your guy just tried to kill someone like that? Really?
Because that just proves the other team's that bad at that moment. They don't deserve it.
That's kind of my thing. It does throw off the balance a little bit of it, but also don't let them score shorthanded, idiot. Just don't.
In a way, it's making actually let's look at it this way. In a way, that kind of rule is forcing this team to work harder and they're kind of earning that moment to set their player free from shame just a few seconds earlier if they can do that. So
I think they should have to score twice and then they can wipe the penalty.
We can't do that. But hey, look, like we're good at scoring shorthanded goals. So I wouldn't knock that if we had that opportunity to capitalize on that one. But Kreider, he's a leader in that. We'll keep that one on the table. As if we had a choice and we can make these
when it's our league.
When we rule the NHL.
The DDFHL.
Wait, yeah. I'm so glad that Liz and I are completely flipped on the opinions of these rules.
Debate makes for good podcasts.
It's amazing. It's amazing. If we just agreed on that and be like, yep, we agree. Yep. Right,
the more I think about this, actually, the more I want hockey to go to the yellow card, red card system, because it would really, talk about messing with people. You could get somebody out for the whole game. And that is so damaging. Hockey's obviously different in that the game is played in shifts with groups of players who have to keep trading in and out. But there might be still a way to incorporate that concept into hockey.
We just bring yellow and red cards. Yellow for a minor penalty and red for a major ejection.
We'll just bring them on our own and we'll just throw cards up.
We should totally do that. Every time the other team will just hold up. That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
We'll choose our seats.
We'll have one side yellow, one side red. I love it.
So, I should really suggest that to when Angel City FC is welcome to Kings Night. I should really that'd be hilarious.
Oh, throw that out there.
They've laminated yellow and red cards.
But
bring those.
Or imagine the opposite. Imagine watching soccer where the rules of hockey apply. So you either have a 2-minute minor where you're pulling somebody off. It's interesting. It's just interesting. Just food for thought. I like exploring these thought exercises on this podcast.
That's actually very similar to what they're doing with 7-on-7. So the small league, the soccer tournament, yada yada. It's a 7-on-7 league, but every 5 minutes in injury extra time, every 5 minutes in, at the end of the game, they pull a player off. So then it's 6-on-6 after 5 minutes. And then they pull a player off at the end. So it's 5-on-5 after 10 minutes.
Love that.
I love there is a problem. For those of you who don't follow soccer, there is a problem with the golden goal issue where players are too scared to attack. So they just play and the game goes on forever and ever and ever. That's why they always go to PKs and not sudden death. Like we Americans are, we think is superior. I think that is a perfect solution for that. To bring the goal in the goal every 10 minutes, bring a player off 10 on 10, another 10 minutes, 9 on 9, 8 on 8, 7 on 7. Oh man, that'd be hilarious to watch.
I would raise the stakes so much. I think that would be awesome.
It goes to 3 on 3 and then 2 on 2 and then it's
two players running
just
around
one
this
man.
giant
It's
field.
just goalie versus goalie. We would win every time on that one. Let's go.
That would be freaking amazing.
We're still waiting for you to get the goal. So that's the one thing we can try to predict this year too, because it's close. And now we've got quick too. So maybe both of them we got it.
If either of you could add a rule to the NHL right now that hasn't been thought of.
That's a good question.
Well, you know where I love what the Savannah Bananas are doing with baseball. Do you follow the Savannah Bananas? So one of the best rules is that if a fan catches a foul ball, it counts as an out. Mm-hmm. So I would some way for like a fan to get involved. Like if the puck goes into the stand, somebody grabs it, it's like a goal. It's like a goal against the other team or something like that.
That's good. Actually one would be kind of what we were talking about. I don't know. I just went all dark. Everything's going dark right now. Oh my God. Does it work?
Maybe like the chuck-a-puck thing where you put a helmet at the center of the ice and then the guy throws it back, and if it lands in the helmet, it's a goal.
A tiebreaker thing. Yeah, right. One rule would be, for the multiple penalties, so I don't think there's much to stop some of these guys from creating penalties. And we've seen throughout the years and through the seasons that there's strategy there, in trying to create a fight or to create and draw a penalty on stuff. So and we see sometimes our multiple guys in the penalty box multiple times, so kind of going to like the card, changing the card and getting them out, whether it's a longer penalty, or something like that would be kind of interesting to see.
Oh, you know what they should do? They should do the opposite of a penalty, where if somebody does something really nice for someone else, you get an extra player. So if you support the other team and you give the other team a high five, they give you an extra player for 2 minutes for being nice.
In the same vein as
each other.
In the same vein as the Savannah Bananas, I have an idea where if you're down by 2 goals in the last 2 minutes, you can pull your goalie and then put 2 players out on the ice. But if any puck goes below the full goal line, it's a goal.
Ooh, interesting. So you can have 2 extra attackers, but you're kind of penalized a little bit for it. Ooh,
if they clear it at all, it's a goal. You lose. Bye. Goodbye. I also have a more serious rule that us in the Kings server, I've suggested to people in the Kings server. They like it, but we're also Kings fans, and this does apply to a situation that we were in the playoffs, where fans were throwing trash on the ice at the Oilers series. Obviously, the way it works is if fans throw trash, they get a warning. If they do it again, it's a minor penalty. And that has kept happening for other series. I suggested a rule change where fan bases get 1 warning per series, which I really like.
I don't think there should be a warning. I actually like that. If they're going to just be tools, and someone's going to create, although, I don't know how that's going to work. Now that I just thought about it, I'm like,
there is some strategy to the fans here because you only get 1, right?
Yeah, because then the opposing team can come in and do that and create the penalty, so you can't really do that.
Just sell at the building and then it's not a problem.
But we've already, and that's another, we just keep going into other things, because now you have more teams that I'm seeing are limiting ticket sales to residents, and trying to kind of create that. And who was it? Was it the Sabres? It was really, so they're trying to kind of bring more people in and keep available seats to opposing teams limited. And so We don't want that either. I mean, it's good to see where people who are transplanted. It's good to see these rivalry teams, fill up the stadium and everything, in all locations.
I'd go as so far to ban reselling,
Yeah.
like in the sense of if you're missing a game and you bought a ticket to this game, you can sell it back to the team for full price, and then someone else can snatch up those tickets. I'd go as so far to do that. I know we're talking about soccer way too much on a hockey podcast, but some Premier League teams do that.
Yeah,
I love that. I think it's a great idea. Sell tickets.
I mean, they have sections and stuff. There's ways to do things. Before we run out of time and talking about rules, wanted to kind of just transition over because you kind of sparked my memory on this one, where there's been news in the last couple of weeks with the European leagues making the referees do interviews after the games to explain their calls. So it's a way to show kind of accountability for what they're doing and how they're calling it. And what is your thought about? I actually really like that. So they're forcing them. It's a mandatory thing where they, when they come out of the game, to explain the call, because we have talked about it. I've seen crazy penalties that I've never seen before. I mean, either that I never knew existed or that they don't really call. And then, of course, our controversial ones that continue to grow with each year, and just this, relate to the speed and the teams and the players and their skill and everything. So, what do you think about that? I mean, have you caught up with that and saw?
I'll just say on that, I have been watching a bunch of rugby in the last couple of days. They mic the refs, and the refs are constantly explaining what they're calling, why they're calling it, and the refs interact directly with the team captains. So the ref will call over the captain and explain it, but you hear it. I love that. I love the accountability, and I love, as a fan, watching that and understanding exactly what was called. And I don't think they do that enough. Every now and then you get a little explanation, but it's not enough. So whether they do an interview after, but I like the idea of hearing it while it's happening.
Yeah, the MLB has had a couple instances where ump audio where they're explaining to managers has been leaked, and they've tried to hide it, even though it's brilliant. Like it humanizes them. Like we don't like umps at all, but it humanizes them, and we like what they're saying. So why would you tend to hide that? Like,
that's interesting. Why would the MLB hide it?
Like after I would say every league should do this. We should mic up refs. Obviously not for in stadium calls, maybe for the broadcast, maybe even for after replays, that type of thing. Like it humanizes them. We might look at refs even more positively. So maybe the technology isn't there. But I don't know. I don't understand.
The technology to mic up one of these guys is there.
Oh, most of these people aren't, like, they're mic'd up because we see them after. We see it after the fact.
There's a reason. There's a reason that they're not doing it. I'm just not sure what it is.
Yeah, because it positive. It makes us look at refs better.
Totally agree.
And it makes us look at the league. Well, it makes us look at the league and its operations better.
Yeah, so, I would like to see at least a post game interview, especially when we're seeing controversial calls, and seeing what would come out of that. Because ideally, what we kind of want to understand with these rules that are objectionable, with the refs calling it, and of course everybody with their phones and like some of these people are quick and they know how to do a replay in slow motion and up close and do this. So they, seeing an explanation may or may not help, because nothing's going to change at the end of the game, but at least there's a better understanding whether people like it or not. And actually, if because again, we go back, there was, remember when the Rangers played the Kings and there was that bad call on a goal. The sad part was they admitted to it. They admitted that it was goalie interference after the fact. And, we can't do anything to change it. So if it could direct more change or, potential change if we're seeing, people, making these controversial calls and, and other people, more executive people not, I don't know, like they're not good enough. Like what it'd be interesting to kind of see, that kind of thing. And if they do it, they're probably not going to do it. But I like that they're kind of calling it out. The European teams are doing that and making them more accountable. I like to see more of that come through. I
know I hate you. I know I hate you, Edmonton fans, but I think you and I both agree that we would have loved to be a fly on the wall during the high sticking conversations in Game 3.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't watch those games, but I heard all about that in the last season.
We would have loved to hear the thought process and what went on during those 8, 10, 2 days that they were making the call. So
all I can picture is just everyone just swinging those sticks around.
Yeah. It still keeps me up at night. I'm going to always remember that day.
So perfect. Yeah. I'm liking that. This is perfectly kind of building up. It's great conversation to begin the season with, to add flavor to this, not just, our following our team and our local teams here, but now we have more fun homework to do, more school to do with the women's league coming around, and seeing if anyone will be so inclined to do an interview with a ref after a bad
Absolutely. This has been a lot of fun, and a lot of food for thought, especially as we start to see some new things and maybe watch a few new things. And Matt, as always, thank you for enlightening us, teaching us. We are very grateful always.
Quizzing us. That's fun. Giving me homework. Joyful.
Yes. Fun school.
And if Matt might go to the games, he's going to try to get him to see some of these games while they're there. So if he does, we'll have him back to kind of report on it. If you do go, send some pictures. That'd be fantastic.
If anyone knows a way to sneak me in, let us know on the Double D-Fense email.
He's working a couple of angles, to see, and it'll be fun. But we'll definitely follow that league, and we'll have you keep us apprised of that as well. So always a good guest host. Since Sarah, who, by the way, had a birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday, Sarah.
Happy birthday.
Still out celebrating with her family, watching football. And as we kind of close our episode, I'm sorry to all the Giants fans out there. I know the Rangers are there. I suggest that they suit up and help out, but they may be drunk. And
there's always next year, Giants.
So tomorrow night, I think the Jets play. So we'll see what happens there. Football has begun, which means hockey's just right behind.
Just around the corner.
We're right there.
Year ago. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks so much for listening.
Yay, guys. Have a great night.
Bye.